All right. Okay. So I'll just give you pointers when giving a presentation or you're presenting something. Do you do this? Do you actually present, I don't know, statistics, numbers, problems, and solutions? Okay. All right. Then I think it's just right that we're not going to spend a lot of time here. Okay. But then if you had to give a presentation, because it happens, right? Your boss suddenly tells you, oh, mag-present ka, ikaw gumawa niyan. Okay. Or dalawa tayo, itong part mo, ito part ko. Okay. So at least you're ready and you know what to do. First of all, presenting, in your own words, what is a presentation or why do we present? Anyone? Don't think too hard, okay? We're just talking about it.
To share ideas.
Okay, to share ideas or information. Anything else?
To appeal, like make
Okay,
an
to
appeal.
appeal. All right, okay. Good, I like that. Okay, so when we give a presentation, or when anyone gives a presentation, of course, you want to share ideas and information. And in the end, you also have a certain action. The given example by Jade is to make an appeal. It's just one of the things that we can do towards the end. Okay. So remember that when we are presenting, we are not just giving information, we also want action after our presentation. So later we'll get to that. Okay. It doesn't end with just to share info. Take note of that. Okay ba yun? Okay, so we will use the presenting with impact model or acronym to take us through the guidelines for presentations. All right, so I, as in the first letter of impact, means identify your objectives. Can I have Joanne, the next one?
M is meet audience expectations.
Thank you. Nika?
Prepare an outline.
All right. Abigail?
Amuse your audience.
Alma?
Close on a high note.
And then Neo?
Take action. Call to action.
All right. Okay. So these are the things to watch out for or to prepare for when giving a presentation. So let's go over the first two. I and M, which means identify your objectives and meet audience expectations. So make sure that you have a goal in the end, right? Definitely you want to inform, but you are also persuading them to do something, right? What is your goal and what is your goal for the audience? Those are two different things. Your goal is to share something and your goal is for them to what? Sign up, vote, volunteer, believe you, approve the budget. It's very important to know that. In your case, do you want your client to change their way of doing their accounting? Could that be a possible intention or goal? Gusto nyo baguhin yung sistema nila kasi hindi mahahablas sila. And then, what's in it for them if they listen to you? Once our goals are clear to us, we will naturally behave in a way that will support that goal. And we will prepare the information that will support that goal. That's why it's important to know those goals, all right? Your own objectives and your objective for your audience. Even if your audience is just 2 or 3 people, and then meet their expectations. Carl, can you read what's on the slide?
You don't know what you want to achieve in your presentation, your audience will never will. Harvey Diamond.
Your audience never will.
Never will.
All right. Okay. So, kailangan malinaw sa atin. Otherwise, even to them, it will be wishy-washy. It will be unclear. Next, letter P, prepare an outline. So here's an example. This is your program flow. An opening, you get their attention, you introduce yourself, especially for first-time meetings. It's very important to introduce yourself. Why? Because we want to establish their credibility. That's why it's one of the things that I did when we started class. I needed to introduce myself to establish my credibility. Para you, wherever you are, you will not say, sino ba to? Bakit ito yung nagtuturo? What I want you to say to yourself instead is, kaya siya trainer namin. Kaya siya nagtuturo namin. In the same way for you, what's your authority? What's your experience? How long have you been with the account or the company? What's your background? What are your uh, what's this? Professional licenses, right? Again, this is for first time meetings. For clients that you've been meeting with for months or even years now, then there's no need to do that. Maybe when there's a new member on their team. And then, of course, in the body of your presentation, you're giving the details of your topic, right? Based on your objectives. What numbers are you going to include? What's the story behind those numbers? Etc., etc. And then when you close, you do a review or a summary. You can include recommendations. Definitely your call to action will have to be there. We'll get there later, call to action. And then, if possible, have a memorable statement. It can be a quote or it can be a simple sound bite. Remember, we talked about sound bite before. A sound bite is something that's easy to understand. For example, I always say this, say it right. Okay? Say it right. Say it once and say it right. That's a sound bite. Mas mabilis, mas mabuti. That's another example of a sound bite. It's something that is easy to remember. You can use an acronym as well. Okay, that's P. And yeah, the memorable statement is there. Sorry. Okay, next letter is A. Amuse your audience, but it'll come out later. So, can I ask Nika to read what's on the slide?
Make your audience your partner. Empathize with your audience. Always use eye contact. Use gestures and facial expressions. Pronounce words clearly. Share personal stories. Use jokes sparingly. Share something that the audience can relate with.
All right. So, this is what amusing the audience means. It doesn't just mean mag-joke ka or be funny. It's not just that. No, it's be engaging. Later, we'll talk about eye contact some more. We also already talked about gestures and facial expressions. Okay. When we engage our audience, we are resetting their attention button. No, reset, refresh. Because we do get bored, no, when we're listening to somebody. Pero when we infuse it with stories or a quote or something funny, or you change your position when you walk around, then we are refreshing their attention button. In virtual presentations, can I ask Carl to read?
Virtual presentations. Use the video open when possible. Use the video option when possible. Dress appropriately. Be aware of your surrounding. More light is better. Try to look into the camera. Do your own tech support before you start. Move and gesture slowly and naturally.
All right, thank you. All right. So in virtual presentations, we must remember those. All right. And then finally, CNT. Can I ask Keith to read?
Focus on a single task, challenge your audience for action, use Q&A if applicable, don't have more than one closing, time management and takeaway.
All right. So these belong towards the end. So especially yung call to action, that's actually part of your identify your goals, 'di ba? Kasama ng goals mo yung call to action na gusto mo. Again, are you giving the talk because you want for the budget to be approved? Are you giving that presentation because you want them to change their system? Are you giving that presentation to your boss or your boss's boss because you want them to believe you, approve the budget? Whatever it is, all of those are action, even if it's as simple as believing you. Okay? So that's part of it. And if you keep that in mind, then again, your behavior will follow. What you will include will follow. You will take out what is not necessary and keep only what is essential. A presentation always has a call to action. Hindi lang siya FYI. It is FYI plus your desired call to action on the part of your audience. All right. So that is how a presentation works. Of course, it takes practice and feedback ideally. Okay. So when you start to make presentations, you can ask your boss for feedback or your colleague for feedback. And when you do give feedback, please be constructive, no? Make it productive feedback. Wag yung vague. Make it specific. Tell them only three things, no? Speak louder, slow down, make eye contact, no? Things that are doable, demonstrable. When you're asked to give a presentation, do not start with your PowerPoint. Okay? That's a common mistake. Uy, magpapresent daw ako. Gagawa na ako ng slides ko. No. Follow the format first. Identify your goals and your call to action. At least yun. Okay? Huli ang PowerPoint. Huli talaga yan. And if you follow that pattern, then your presentation will be more airtight. Kesa yung nauna yung PowerPoint na meandering naman. Okay? And when you do, these are the questions to ask yourselves. Abigail, can you read for us, please?
Um, what is your objective for for your presentation? Describe your audience. What do you want the audience to know or learn? How can you start with an impact? What gestures do you need to have more of? What gestures do you need to have less of? How can you close the presentation with an impact? Camera on? Yes or no? If no, please give the reason.
All right. Of course, having the camera on would be best. Mas powerful siya because there's that visual of you, plus your voice pa, plus they see your gestures and facial expressions, making your message a lot more engaging and powerful. Okay, final tips about and eye contact. First of all, make eye contact. I think I've shown it to you before. Did I? First of all, when we make eye contact, which can be nerve-wracking, you look for the friendly faces. I remember, I think we talked about that, okay? It's easier to make eye contact with a friendly face, so do that. Now, virtually, making eye contact is looking at the camera, like right now. If I look at myself, I look like this. Okay. Now, syempre, when you make eye contact, be natural, no? Natural lang na nagbe-blink tayo. So, make sure you blink. Kasi if you don't, nakakatakot, di ba, kapag hindi nagbe-blink. It's so fun. Ito pala, may visual pala ako ng eye contact. Okay. And then, remember thought groups. Di ba? You use the thought groups as your guide when you shift eye contact. So, hi, my name is Carmine. I'm happy to be here, and I hope we have fun while we learn. You saw that, right? In terms of what I said, I spoke in thought groups. Pero yung eye contact ko, sinabay ko dun sa pag-shift ko ng thought groups. That's how you can manage looking at a group. And remember, you're having a conversation with individuals. They just all happen to be together. Like right now, I'm having a conversation with each of you. You just happen to be here all at the same time. And that will help you become warmer and more natural. Remember, when you're presenting, it's because of your audience. You're not presenting because of you. Once you start thinking of yourself, you're no longer thinking of your audience. Then your goal is wasted. No? May goal ka, may gusto ka para sa kanila. But if you start thinking of yourself, then you're behaving differently na. Always think of them and not yourself. Okay, use connectors. I'll show you examples of connectors in the next slide. Okay, connectors. What are These are examples. Connectors. You can use connectors so that what you're saying is more logical at saka mas nakatuhog-tuhog. No? There's a cause and effect and sequence, etc., etc. Kesa puro standalone sentences. You'll know what I mean. Okay. So can you imagine yourselves using these connectors? Yeah, they're very helpful in connecting one thought and then the next thought.